Welcome to Leafs Talk. Hey,
What's
Ailish.
up?
It's Sam McKee here. You're watching us on Sportsnet Plus. You can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get that. I'm very new to doing the introductions. I've never done this before. I usually have like a Sherpa to bring me in
Mhm.
and tell me, all the things, and that's my job tonight. So, Ailish, welcome
You're killing
to
it.
your maiden voyage of Leafs Talk. How are
Thank
you
you.
feeling to be here? Excellent game for you to jump in on. What are your thoughts on doing this with me? Are you okay with it?
I'm fired up. I mean,
Okay,
you
good.
picked a good one. Unfortunately, it kept going longer and longer and later and later, and I was like, we both already had shows today, and I'm like, let's go, guys. But Leafs get a point. That's
Yeah,
important, and
yeah.
got to see the old rivalry reignited, maybe.
So you mentioned the point thing there, and that's the first thing I wanted to bring
Mhm.
up with you is I'm actually at the point now where, sarcastically you would say, with the Leafs in the past few years, like, oh, big point there when they would like blow a
Mhm.
lead to a worse team or like whatever, they'd go to overtime, you say big point. I actually, looking the way the rest of the Eastern Conference is and looking at the way the Leafs have looked throughout the first month of this season, I actually think these are big points. Like, I think them getting it to overtime and them like staying in there with the Bruins, who have not lost in regulation yet and still haven't, obviously, after tonight, like for them to go in there and get a point seems like a pretty big deal. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to like, a lot of stuff not to like. Do you want to start positive or negative tonight?
Mhm. Let's get the negative out of the way. I like to
Okay.
end on positives.
Okay,
Send
that's sweet.
people off on a positive note.
Okay. All right. So,
Number 3.
yeah. I so old Johnny boy there,
Mm,
he is making remarkably bad plays pretty much every shift. Like, I truly can't remember watching a defenseman play for the Leafs. Like, I know there's been bad guys, but like,
mm,
you can talk about Jake Gardiner and his mistakes that he would make. You can talk about Justin Hall and all the mistakes that they would make. But those guys also had redeeming factors about
right.
them. Like, they had things that I was like, okay, I'll take the good with the bad.
Mhm.
It's every shift that I'm just like, "Oh, there's another really bad thing that almost ended up in the net." Like, I'm not sure what you do at this point with John Klingberg.
I mean, this is kind of what we were sold, but the kind of the worst case scenario, and I think people
Yes.
thought it could be like a project, like he would just all of a sudden be better in Toronto and he would find himself, but like we're watching these highlights here if you're streaming with us and it's like he's completely lost. Like this one here. I mean, when you're growing up playing hockey, you know how to cover your man in front. Like there are just such simple things that are almost stunning. It's like he's truly lost out there. And I don't even know, as you said, what the project, like, where do you begin? It's like, let's relearn your X's and O's, buddy. He's like afraid to get hit in the corner sometimes. He doesn't tie up his guy in front of the net. It was seemingly endless issues for Klingberg tonight, and it's nothing new that we've seen all season long. But I felt like tonight, whether it was just the speed of the Bruins or the fact that like they just kept dancing around him, it felt really evident that he was out of place.
Yeah, and I think I was somewhat, I wouldn't say high on the signing, but, like,
Mhm.
okay with it compared to a lot of people and what they were saying.
I was optimistic too. I thought, "Oh, he's gonna
Yeah.
score a million goals."
Yeah, and you heard all the sort of reasoning going into
Mhm,
it being like, "Oh, well, he's playing not with the Ducks and not with the
mhm.
Wild, who don't have the offensive upside and
And he
all
wants
this."
to cash in on a big
Yes,
contract, so he's gonna
exactly.
play so hard.
But why I guess it's more of a big picture thing, but, like,
Mhm,
the $4 million, like, was there other teams that were I guess that's why they had to give him that much money?
mhm,
But it just feels like he's more of like a $1 or $2 million project as
mhm.
opposed to like a $4 million project. They just have to play him. That's the thing. Like, there's no other options for them. Like, now that Liljegren's hurt, or we
Ugh,
don't know what's gonna go on with him, but that didn't look pretty.
yeah,
William Lagesson, give him credit. He stepped in and played great tonight. But when it comes to Klingberg, he's gonna be out there. Like,
yeah.
unless they like move off of him somehow or trade him for with a pick for something. Like, I don't even know what else you do. You just have to play him and you're gonna have to live with this. And I don't think it's gonna be that much of an enjoyable experience for Leaf fans.
No, and we're gonna see so much more of him, like the Liljegren thing. We should like play. I know Jobo has the
Yeah.
clip. I sound like I'm a vet. "Oh, yeah, Jobo, play the clip, Jobo. Yeah,
I
play
think
it, Jobo.
you
Yeah,
have
come on."
you have thrown to a clip way better than I
I've
ever have.
thrown to
So
a couple clips in my life. This was brutal. The
yeah,
first glance when we're watching him during the broadcast, I was like, "Oh, that looked pretty bad." First replay, I was like, he broke his leg.
yeah,
Like, it's like his ankle is blown into pieces. It looks horrible. It's like clearly a dirty play. I know we were
yeah.
listening to the panel, and Kipper was pretty hard on like that should be suspension, and I don't think Elliott agreed, but I mean, it's Marchand, it's Wes McCauley reffing. It's like, oh, the perfect storm of something going to happen. And poor Liljegren, like this is his third injury in 3 games,
I know.
and he didn't return after this in the first period. And it looks really bad. They're both going in pretty fast, but I mean, that's a can opener. That's
Yeah.
literally you Google, you watch a can opener of former Maple Leafs defenseman. We know he like loved a can opener. That's like 10 out of 10 can opener. Like it's good.
Yeah, I'm looking at I love that shot, and I don't know, I guess we could roll it again, Jobo, but just number 4 ref, is that McCauley? Just legitimately
Probably.
staring at it.
He's like,
Like he
nice.
like he's watching like he's like, "Yeah, good view,"
Yeah, it
staring
is
at it.
Macaulay.
Yeah, staring right at it.
Oh, man,
I
that's brutal.
when you can give benefit of the doubt to Brad Marchand, you just have to do it because he is like, there's definitely never been any
No, he's such a
moment
good guy, man, like, he's just, like, through and through, never a
yeah.
bad moment. So
Oh.
then I like, next part of this is, yeah, Liljegren's out,
Mhm.
and they show where, like, Ryan, Reeves is obviously like, "Oh, I think I'm frozen. Am
No,
I
you're
frozen?
back. You're
Oh,
back.
no."
No, you're
Okay,
back.
okay, okay.
You're back.
Woo!
You were frozen for a second.
Internet out here,
Yeah.
down King West, the internet's buggy. So Ryan Reeves is just kinda, chirping a bit, but that's when, like, I said out loud, "Okay, this is Ryan Reeves's
I know.
music." We texted in our little group chat, "It's gonna be Ryan Reeves. He's gotta make something happen." And the lack of response was brutal, and all the rest of the game, like, there was so many opportunities, just make something happen, and they didn't do anything to, like, give vengeance to poor Timothy Liljegren.
Yeah. The Ryan Reeves experience is a lot different than I was expecting, Ailish. I
Mm.
gotta be honest with
Yeah.
you. Like, the first couple games I was beating my chest, being like, yes,
Mhm,
this man, passionate, fights every game, hits guys,
mhm.
is involved. And then now I just watch him stand around in the defensive zone with pucks whizzing by him. Like there was a shift where I think he actually got on the ice with Marchand at some point. He goes
Oh,
skates over by him, and it's like maybe just grab onto him or say something. Like I know
sure.
it's a close game. You don't want to take a stupid penalty on the fourth line. I understand that, but there's way to walk the line without taking a penalty and just at least
Mhm,
look like you're upset about pretty dirty play a couple feet from the boards. But yeah, like that shot, and I think Kipper brought it up in the intermission. A couple of my buddies were texting me about it. And you just see Marchand skating by the bench, and you see John Tavares there, and God love
yeah.
John Tavares. And he's just got the John Tavares look on his face. Like it's just
Which look?
obviously it's a tremendous honor to have Brad Marchand trip my one of our only good defensemen straight into the boards.
Yeah,
Obviously,
like,
it's a tremendous
"I'm really
honor for
proud
him.
to have shared the ice with him. He's a hardworking player and, wears represents the country
Could
very proudly and, fellow hard worker."
Could you
Yeah, it
maybe
it
please
wasn't
just like
acceptable.
say something? Could you please just
Yeah.
join Ryan Reeves in yelling at him and making it look like you're upset? I know
Mhm,
it's all just PR for the fans or whatever, but like at some point, when you're one of your only good defensemen that is playing really solid for you, gets run into the boards like that, you'd like to see some sort of response. And that's kind of what you were
mhm.
expecting this year when they were talked about it the whole offseason. They talked about snot, whatever, like the stupidest thing ever. Like snot. Like I don't even get what that means, but snot. And like, oh, there's a whole new like Domi's tough and
Yeah.
Bertuzzi's tough and Reeves is tough. And it's like, yeah, Reeves fought the other guys that are mutants that can fight him, and the rest of the time he's just caved in his defensive zone. So yeah, I didn't like that part of it. I have to be honest
Mhm.
with you.
Yeah, that was, I think, the prime example of where taking a penalty would have been joyous for Leafs fans.
Yes.
Like, people would not have been frustrated like William Nylander's OT penalty or
Yeah.
the one that, was it Holmberg got there near the
Oh
end of
my
the
God.
game. Like, those are no. But if Ryan Reeves, like, made an issue of that, I think all of Leafs Nation would have been pretty proud to have him on their team. So, I think a missed opportunity, and now, I mean, Benoit is your next guy up. Like this is where we get to the conversation of having no depth and for the Maple Leafs in the back end. And like I hope that Liljegren's not out for long term, but like that did not look
Yeah.
good. And they play, on Saturday night against the Sabres. So they're gonna have another opportunity. They might have to call someone up. And like this has already been a week looking back end. And if you don't have
Yeah.
Liljegren, I just you and I will be called up next.
It's I don't play. You've never seen me play defense, Ailish. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
We
will
did
be
play in
part of
one
the list.
charity tournament together,
Yeah.
and you're just like wheeling and dealing in the
Yeah.
neutral zone.
Yeah. I
I
was
don't
just
think
trying
you
hard
crossed
because
the
I was
top of
trying
the
hard because you
circle.
were there. You're a
Yeah, yeah,
former
yeah. No,
pro
I
player,
remember. Yeah.
and I have to impress you. I was trying hard because you were there.
Yeah.
But I like, you want to give them a tough time for the defensive depth or whatever, but like it's
Mhm.
hard to, you lose McCabe,
Yeah.
you lose Liljegren,
Mhm.
like it's hard for any team to kind of lose two of their top guys and
For
have
sure.
enough depth to kind of fill in for that. But you're right, like they're going to be calling up probably Simone Benoit, or is it Simon Benoit? I don't know. I feel bad that I butchered his
Benny.
name. Benny the
Benny.
Butcher, as I like to call him. So he'll call him up. But like, I have to say, if I can put in a positive here,
Mhm.
I mentioned it earlier. I was really impressed with William Lagesson tonight. I thought he
Me
kind of
too.
stepped in and he was asked. There was way more asked of him than I
Mhm.
expected. I bet you he even expected. He made a really good read on the Matthews tying goal where he dove down below the goal line. I was like, what is
Mhm.
he doing down there? He made a good play, made a physical play to keep the cycle going. So I liked his game tonight. And I think he's going to get a lot more minutes coming up here. Man, like they're going to need him, which is crazy. Like we're heading into the first week in November here, and we're relying on William Lagesson. It's kind of getting scary in a hurry.
Yeah,
Oof,
there
what a
was
shot.
that's the play where he stepped up. I mean, like this is kind of the pivot point, right? Where
Yeah.
things change. Marner's goal, Matthews' goal, I think a minute and change between them. Like that game was out of reach. It felt like I didn't see much pushback from the Leafs. They had a good first period, then two pucks go in, and it
Yeah.
was kind of like, oh, here we go. But good on Marner Matthews. Like that's why you're the core
Yeah.
four, the top two players on this team. Like you sometimes have to will a puck in the net. Like Marner and Matthews goals, they actually like end up being pretty nice, but like
Mhm.
it's puck possession that they were getting down in the offensive zone for a while. They were outplaying the Bruins and they finally got through. Like the Bruins goaltending is
Yeah.
absurd. Like their
Yeah.
numbers are nuts. Obviously they can't sustain that. We keep saying that, but we're like, can they? Because you see like we could play a whole reel of
Yeah.
incredible saves of Swayman. And so good for them to get the momentum turn. Like that's what they needed. And eventually, it gets tight and a point. And then we started this with a point, like
Yeah.
a point at that point when it was
Yeah.
down to nothing. You did not even dream of getting,
Oof.
through the rest of the game. So Marner Matthews deserve some credit for actually like willing that comeback to fruition. And then, unfortunately, Samsonov in the shootout wasn't
Yeah.
as good as he was, but for 60 minutes plus OT, I was pretty impressed with Samsonov.
So yeah, I'll jump off on the Matthews and Marner thing, which
Mhm,
there's a positive and a negative in that for me.
mhm.
Ailish is that they were excellent tonight. I thought they really sort of responded because that's been a big talking point in this
Yeah.
city, and they all know it. They get asked about it every day at practice about how they haven't had much chemistry going, and they need those guys. And like, I think half Leaf fans you talk to will be like, "Hey, break them up, try something new." Like, it's like I feel like it's a real hobby horse for a lot of fans, in terms, myself included. Like, I just, you can only watch so much where you're like, "Oh, why don't we
Yeah.
try Marner and Tavares again
Put
for the
eyes
100th
up there.
time?" Yeah, it's just like there's only so many things you can do, but I thought they responded really well tonight. Even before they scored, I thought they were
Mhm.
pretty dominant, had a lot of ozone time. And yeah, that's a vintage Matthews wrister. But the other thing is, it's another donut from your bottom six. Like it's just
Mhm.
there's so much relying, and I think there was guys in the bottom six that looked good tonight. Gregor, I thought, was impressive. Domi looked better to me. Nyes, I mean, Gregor's just going to do the thing that
Yeah.
he's just everyone's
Oh,
played with a
here's the
person like
Gregor
this.
highlight reel.
Well, isn't it
Oh,
everyone's played with a
buddy.
person like this in their life where it's like this guy is buzzing
Mhm,
every game and he's just getting in
mhm.
on net and he's banging it off the goalie's pads, shooting it right in the logo, missing somehow by 15 feet in tight. But like he looked good. He
I
was,
have been Gregor before, man. I
yes.
have been
Oh, not
Gregor,
with
and it's
those
so
hands, buddy. I've
frustrating,
seen you play. Come on now.
Yeah, yeah. You know what he reminds me of? And I don't
Yeah.
know if it's like maybe it's just recency bias. Remember when Ilya Mikheyev like got thousands of
Mm,
breakaways and just could never put the puck in the
such
net,
an
and we were just
excellent
like,
comparison.
we're like,
Such
"Come
an
on,
excellent comparison.
Mikheyev!" Like he was like snake bitten, the poor guy.
Yeah.
I feel like Gregor has that sense where he's fast, he's like aggressive, and he's
Mhm.
getting opportunities. Mikheyev had that. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Gregor's more talented, or I don't even know. I
Nah,
can't compare these two, but
they're
it
very
has the
similar. Same
Mikheyev
with
vibe, does it not?
who was that other guy that was always had like 100 breakaways from the Leafs when they really sucked? And they oh my God, Grabner.
Oh my
Michael
god.
Grabner. He had like legitimately 45
Yeah.
breakaways one year and scored
There's
like
always
2
one of
goals.
them.
Yeah.
He's our newest member of the
Yes.
the can't
Yeah.
score club, but
So,
I
no,
mean,
like
I'll give him credit. He is
yeah.
hustling, you're right.
Yeah, but they just need more from the bottom 6, and I don't know
Mhm,
where it's gonna come from because, I guess Nyes and Domi have shown a little bit of chemistry in that one game, but it
mhm,
feels like Keefe's sticking with that for a long time, praying it's gonna come back from that one time, but we haven't seen it really since then, have we?
mhm.
Like, Camp doesn't seem to be a good mix with those guys. Bertuzzi's down on the 4th line, like,
Yeah, that was
there's
weird, like, for, like,
yeah,
2 shifts. I actually thought Bertuzzi, like, maybe to
yeah,
start the game had a little bit more oomph than I had seen, and then
yeah,
he got lost again, like, and I think maybe he turned it on for the first couple shifts because it was the Bruins and, like, there were all those storylines coming into it, but
yeah,
he gets lost out there. Same with Domi. I haven't seen something from Domi since that game that he got 2 assists. Like, it's
yeah,
like he disappeared, right? And I don't know, the bottom 6, you're right, is, like, just as like a 0. Like,
yeah.
they just don't contribute, and that's a lot to put on your top 2 lines, and, good thing that they're pretty talented, but it's gonna become a part where you're not able to rely on just them, and Willie gets his point streak again, but, like, at some point, you need somebody to put the puck in the net that is not from the top 6, you
It
know?
it's crazy, like, it's funny, it's just it's Groundhog Day, we're just having the same conversation we've had for 7 years, like, it really like, I sometimes I sit here and I have this conversation, I'm like, "God, this is stupid," like, if
Like,
just
what
yes,
year is this?
this is the team. This is the team,
Yeah.
regardless of who they mix in the bottom 6, it's just
Mhm,
like, if the 4 guys go, they're pretty good,
mhm,
and then if they don't, they kinda lose, like, that's kinda and they're 4 really good players, and most of the time they're going, and they can really lean on it. So the next thing I wanted to bring up with you,
mhm.
and I think maybe it could have potentially been burying the lead here, but spectacular night for Samsonov.
Yeah.
I think he talked about it. Was that last week where he was talking about the struggles? They were on that long
Yes.
road trip. He's got a wife and a brand new baby at home. He's
Mhm,
sad. He's like, he's been on the road, homesick. I get it. Like, it's probably tough. He's probably like dealing with that. His wife's probably
mhm,
pissed at him. She's up at all hours of the night. She's probably blowing him up. Like, who wouldn't? I get it. And he's upset. He comes in, he has a good start against Nashville at the end of that trip where he's passable. But
mhm.
tonight, I thought he was legitimately as good as I've seen him. This looked
Yeah.
like peak Samsonov from last year, where he was the starting goalie for the Leafs. And to me, everybody wants to crown Wall, and I like watching Wall play, but like they're going to need both of these guys a lot. And for him to be able to go into Boston and have this game, like who cares about the shootout? The shootout's stupid. It's a skills contest or whatever.
Mhm.
He was a 10 out of 10. He was their best player tonight for me. He was awesome.
Hands down. Yeah, I guess we did bury the lead, but we're gonna finish on positives. So this is us
Yes.
finishing on positives.
Yes.
Yeah, Samsonov for sure was like the vintage Samsonov that went on that run last year where he was undefeated at home and he owned the crease and he had one of the best save percentages in the NHL. And I don't remember what month it was, like maybe it was January or February, but it was like this guy has earned like the NHL discussion of being in, a starting goaltender, and Murray
Yeah.
was out, so it was helpful. But what we saw tonight that I think was the most encouraging is he looked calm. And
Mhm.
that's something you really need to see with Samsonov, because I feel like his like external posture and his positioning is exactly how he's feeling inside. So when he's calm, he plays calm. He looks confident. He's not sliding around from
Mhm.
post to post to corner. Like, I really liked his positioning. I thought he was really sound in net. He made some big saves for the Leafs, specifically at the end of the game there. Like, there was like
Mhm.
3 or 4 chances that the Bruins were, I was like, oh, it's over. It's over. And I mean, I think it also helps. He's playing against another goaltender who's dynamite, and they're
Yeah,
competitive, right? Like when you know you're going up against the leader
100%.
in the NHL, you're bringing your A game. Not that he should need to be like influenced to try even harder, but I know that they mention it sometimes. Like Samsonov has mentioned before, like when he's playing another Russian goaltender, he's
Yeah,
like,
he
"Oh yeah,
loves
like
it.
yeah, I got to kick him, beat him."
Yeah.
But tonight I think he definitely like rose to the occasion. He also knows like this was a spot where it could have went to either starting goaltender, right? It could have went to
Yeah.
him or Woll. And that's a big vote of confidence from Keefe. An original six, like a big game where the Leafs just came off a stinker. So for them to give this spot to Samsonov, I hope that this really gives the guy some confidence, because it's okay if they're competitive in net and they have to like battle it out for one person to gain the top spot. Like that's a luxury. We shouldn't be on the other side of the conversation where like nobody is playing well. Like this
No,
is
this is
good.
good.
Yeah, if
So
Samsonov can keep this up, like I actually think that this could be a good competitive battle for a starter. And tonight was a really great step in the right direction. I was really happy to see him, and I think like it'll go a long way because, as you mentioned, the mental side of it was a bit shaky as of late, and he's honest and sometimes to a fault, but I
yeah.
respect it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't here's the thing with it, like, you can't ask your, athletes to be outspoken, but then pick and choose what they're outspoken about,
Like, don't say
right?
that.
No, like, be funny and laugh and, like, talk about how the sun's gonna come up, but, like, don't talk about how you're sad. Don't talk
Yeah.
about that part. So, yeah, you can't have it both ways. So, you're put on your Sheldon Keefe hat, put on your
Mhm.
coach hat. Who's starting on Saturday?
They got the Sabres at
Yeah.
home. I think I still give Wool another chance. Like,
Mm.
I think I don't know. I think I want to see him again in the big spot. Was it Samsonov played the last one at home, right?
No, Wall was it? No, Wall played on Tuesday. Yeah, against the Kings. Yeah, he did play. So
Okay.
maybe,
So maybe you're onto something. Yeah.
go back to Samsonov after a nice start. Give him a
The good
little
thing is I feel
nod.
like you could really do either. And that's what
Yeah,
tonight was, that you could do either, but
yeah,
now seeing Samsonov's performance, maybe you do tip it more in Samsonov's favor of like you played really well against the Bruins, give yourself back-to-back opportunities. I think actually I would lean that way because
yeah,
as bad as it sounds, I feel like you might need to like cushion it a bit for Samsonov. Like you
yeah,
need to be
for
like, "Buddy,
sure.
we trust you." Whereas
Yes.
Wall's like, "I'm like 12 years old, like put me in whenever," right?
Well,
Like
he's
so
like hiking in the Himalayas. You read that
yeah.
Josh Cloak piece? He's like, he's like,
He's like he
what's
shows up, he
hockey?
doesn't even know if he's playing. He's like, "Oh, I'm playing? Oh, I don't have social media."
Yeah, what was it that he found out like super
That they
late?
traded for Ryan O'Reilly.
Oh yeah,
He showed up to the rink and he was like, "This guy's on our team?" Like, it's outstanding. So, yeah, maybe I do lean Samsonov actually, and I think I wanna give him the
yeah.
confidence boost, but he's gotta play well on Saturday night against, because it's a rivalry cross border.
So I got a question for you about
Mhm,
Brad Marchand. He had that chance in overtime. But, he's starting I think he's on the downside of his career.
mhm.
I'm noticing him I don't know if it's because he didn't have Bergeron and he's playing with
Mm.
Pastrnak or whatever, and Pastrnak is unbelievable.
Oh, he's
He is
dirty.
so, so good, and he's got
So good.
that bee in his bonnet. He hammers Klingberg to set up that goal. That shot off the rush that's like 90 miles an hour that he almost
Mhm,
puts bar down is sick skill. But so he's not playing with Pastrnak, Marchand. I think he's moving into a different part of his career, and I feel like I didn't notice him as much as I usually do tonight. I think he's starting to get a little bit older, and it's gonna be interesting to see how he ages as a player to me, because the
mhm.
speed is so much a part of his game, and like the shiftiness or whatever, and you feel like he's always all over the puck, but I really didn't notice him as much. I guess he's getting older. Like, how old is Marchand? I don't know, have it in front of me, but I'm surprised by him
Mhm.
tonight. I didn't think he was as good as he usually is.
You know what I kinda thought about when you're telling me this is that, like, Tavares went
Marchand's
is
35. Yeah, God, we're getting old, eh? Like,
you
I remember him at the World
you're getting
Juniors.
old.
Yeah, I
I'm
remember at
old
the
too.
World Juniors. Yeah,
But,
God.
like, think about Tavares's role has also changed,
Yeah.
right? Like, he was once that dynamic power forward, playmaker, goal scorer, first one in, and he's had to transition a bit, like, to
Mhm.
play a little bit of a different style. I know this sounds interesting because he's also, like, having a really great start
Yeah.
to his season point-wise, but his role has actually changed, and I
Yeah.
wonder if, like, Marchand's in that little bit of a transitional period as well, but he's also lost a lot of, like, of the familiar faces, and everybody
Yeah.
counted the Bruins out, like, and now he's playing with a whole like cast of characters that we didn't really know. And
Yeah.
credit to them, they look like they did not miss a beat. And like that's the whole scary thing about this is that now they're 9-0-1.
They
And
just suck one year? Is
no,
that
they won't.
possible?
They
Like,
won't. And so there's just his but you're right, like, he has definitely changed his aggressor type mentality, but he's still talented enough and, like, knows where to be, and he just, like, has those spurts where he's like, "Oh,
yeah,
there's Marchand," right?
yeah,
But, yeah, he's 35, you're right, like, it's getting to the point where, like, him, Stamkos, Tavares, like, those people that we pictured as young are now old. Crosby, and they have to adapt with the young, fast kids, like, and so
yeah.
it's interesting, you never know if, like, when the end of the Bruins will come, but it doesn't look like it's coming yet.
So I have one or two more quick things for you. The
Hmm,
first thing is the guy that sings the anthem for the Bruins.
that's the best.
He absolutely destroys it. I love him. And then Savvy, Mark Savard, who I used to do Leafs
Mhm.
Nation post game with, he now is the head coach of the Windsor Spitfires. He told me that he is the bartender at the main bar in TD Garden. So this guy
Have
goes
you
down
been to
there.
the Reno TD Garden?
I've never been to TD Garden. I would
Oh my
never. I
god,
gotta tell you, I would never step
same.
foot in that place. I would never step foot in that
Okay, well,
place.
I went to university, like, right outside
I know.
Boston, so, of
Yes.
course, I went all the time, and it
Yes.
was awful, but you loved it at the same time, and they renovated that place, it is, like,
Yeah.
spectacular,
Have
they've
you
kept, like,
have you
some
gone there as a Leaf fan?
oh, I went to the I went to the game where the
Which
bad
one?
things happen. I went to 2 playoff games during the round where they lost in the dramatic, game 7. What year
4-1,
was
you
that?
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, you weren't at 4-1 though, were you?
No,
Oh,
was that
thank
at
God.
home? No, I
No, it
was
was
at
in
game I'm trying to remember. I was not at 4-1, I know that.
okay, thank God.
I was actually in a frat at my university outside of
Okay. Boston?
Boston with half Toronto fans and half Boston fans,
Nightmare.
and we were so obnoxious. We were like,
Nightmare.
"We won this!"
No.
Like both hockey teams were like mostly Canadians playing like in the
Nightmare.
states playing NCAA, and we were like with our jerseys ripping around, and
Oh
there was like,
my
oh, it was
God, dude.
awful, Sam. And I'll never forget that. And then we're all watching like in the basement, being like, "What's going on here?" And then obviously we all like had to eat our words and watch
Yeah.
the like Boston fans who were the most obnoxious rub it in our face. But I've been to a bunch of games in a Leafs
Oh,
jersey
okay.
there, and it is like dangerous, but
Yes.
it's so fun, right? Like you just
Yeah.
like you have a couple beers, you're like, whatever, who
Yeah.
cares?
But I just love that the guy who sings the anthem is the bartender at the bar. I just
Yeah,
think
that
that's the
place is
most
full
gritty
of like
Boston thing. I
legends.
absolutely love that. And the
You
last
gotta
thing
go
I
to a
ha
game there.
yeah, no, I will never go to a game there. I it's
Come
just
on.
I don't wanna ever step foot in that
You're
house the whole rest.
scared. I think you're
Oh,
scared.
yeah, and here's the thing, Ailish, like, I don't love like, I my relationship with the Leafs has changed so much where it's like, I would go in there, I would be a Leaf fan or whatever, but, like,
Mhm.
I don't wanna get beat up over this anymore. Like,
You would be probably beat
in
up.
my 20s, it's like, I'll go with the boys, it's like, if something happens to happen, like, but now I'm just
Past
too
that
old for
age, eh?
now I'm just too old for that.
Honestly, they would have respected you last week when you had the mullet, and now
Oh,
they'd be
yeah.
like, "You're
I
just
know,
some, like, Toronto
I
finance
know.
bro with, like, the fade." Like, they would pick you out of a crowd, whereas before, they would have been like, this guy, yeah, he's got some Boston roots. I respect it." But no, you're too Toronto now.
Uh, alright, and last thing,
Mhm.
love blue on the road. Love blue on
Yeah.
the road. I think it's a wonderful thing.
You don't
Hated the
like the
Bruins jerseys
Boston
tonight.
yeah?
No,
Okay,
that's
let
like
me just say, I
these
think
white jerseys.
they
Why are they the cream? They look like they're stained.
they're perfect for an outdoor game. Those are
Yes.
outdoor game jerseys. That's
Yes.
it. It would be iconic if they wore them at Frozen Fenway, which they
Yeah.
have worn
Yeah.
similar-esque Bruins jerseys to Frozen
Yeah.
Fenway with, like, the old colors. Like, that's what outdoor games are for, not for Tuesday or Thursday,
No.
November 2nd. Like, it did feel like a weird vibe. I do love, like, a vintage look, you know that, but, like, it seemed save that for an outdoor game. Those are perfect outdoor jerseys.
So I texted somebody that would know because I was interested in this and how
Mhm.
long what kind of warning the Bruins would have to give the Leafs that they're gonna wear white on home ice. And I was like the only person that cares about this. But the person that I texted was like, it would probably be like a couple weeks before they'd call the Leafs and
Wow.
tell them, yeah, because are you gonna bring
Couple
both
weeks?
colors? Are you gonna bring both
Yeah,
colors on the road? No, you're only
you
gonna bring
always
one.
have to bring both.
Do you bring both always? I don't
Yes.
know. I have one color. Actually, my beer league team used to have two, so not a big deal. We
Probably
have
have those
both.
reversible jerseys, eh? Like, you're just like,
Got
"Whoop,
pennies.
we're
So do the Leafs
home. Whoop,
do the
we're
Leafs
away."
the Leafs bring pennies with them?
They might. I've always
Uh,
like, when we traveled, even if we were playing, like,
yeah,
we knew we were going on a road trip, like, you'd always
yeah,
bring 2 just in case something happened, like, you never know, that other team forgets theirs. I don't know. I'd be surprised the equipment staff wouldn't just bring both, but,
yeah,
I
you're
mean,
right.
good investigation there,
Thank you.
Sam.
I'm really interested, and I probably everyone's like, "Who cares?" Like,
I
but I
mean,
was
you're a Jersey guy every day on Kipper and Bourne, New
I
Jersey's
know.
there.
So I'm gonna bring in the zigzags for tomorrow. I'm gonna ask my boss if our boss if I'm allowed to
Nice.
put it up because it's got the zigzag guy on it. All right, you good? Anything else for us?
Let me look at my notes. Why does camp start every overtime? Like,
Oh
enough
God,
with the
Elish, you're
face-offs,
preaching
man. Like, he's
you're preaching to the
obsessed with
choir
it.
here, pal.
He was stuck out there
Bro,
for 2 minutes, and I was like, "He didn't even win the draw. Like, just stop with this."
but the thing that is kind of scary, and I'm usually like, just put Matthews out there. Matthews
Mhm.
got cleaned out in the draw tonight. I don't know
Yeah,
what
it
it
wasn't a
finished.
perfect night for my argument, but you know what I
No,
mean.
but like I'm usually with you. I'm usually like,
Yeah.
put him out there. But if they're gonna put anyone out there, put out Tavares, who is a dog on a bone in the face off thought. He always wins it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think somebody texted me that Matthews was 0-11 in the dot. Is that true, Jobo? Like I had a hard time finding one that he won. So you see those numbers. Charlie Coyle's
Mm.
pretty good in the draw, but
Mhm.
like 0-11, like God, is it a wrist all right? Like what's going on with that? That's a little bit
Yeah.
scary. But
I
yeah, I hate the strategy. I hate the strategy. We had a long conversation on Real Kipper and Born about 3-on-3, and it's just
mm,
not hockey anymore. It's not hockey
no.
anymore. It's
It's
like
just like, let's all stand around and then make one play happen, hopefully to have an advantage. It's not fast anymore. It's just like kinda like trap.
when it first started, it was the most electrifying thing in the world.
Mhm.
Like it was like 2-on-1, breakaway, whatever. And now, of course, all these super smarty pant coaches have just ruined
Mhm.
it. In what like it's not hockey. The one thing I point to when you bring the puck out of the offensive zone when you have possession, it's immediately not hockey anymore. Like that
Mhm.
just takes away any factor of it being hockey. And it's like everybody has to touch up. Like you put the shot clock in, you can't like there's all these stupid things. I don't know. I don't know how you fix it. Just go to a tie. How's
Yeah,
that sound? How
or
exciting is that?
a
60
tie.
minutes in a tie.
That would be
Exciting.
brutal. I would still
The old
prefer 3
sister
on
kisser.
3 over a shootout, I think. I still prefer, like, just endless 3 on 3 over shootout.
Yeah.
You're right, it's like a skills comp, and
Yeah.
I don't have any skills, so I'm more OT.
I like shootout.
Alright. I don't have anything else for you, buddy. I'm glad to get my inaugural
Hey,
Leafs talk under my belt.
we got a little, the police are coming for you there. You in trouble, buddy?
They heard my hot takes about the jerseys and, being in a
All right.
frat. They caught
So,
me.
so let me do this. Let me do this wind down here. You've been
Mm,
watching Leafs Talk on Sportsnet Plus. Please subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Give us a like on YouTube. Do
mhm.
everything that we like you to do. Comment mean things, nice things, whatever you want to comment. Just comment,
No, be
baby. We love it.
nice.
Nah, I don't care. I never read them anyway, bud. So comment whatever you want
Perfect.
because I'm never going to see it. So thanks for watching Leafs Talk. Really, really happy that you joined me tonight. Let's do it again soon, Ailish.
Alright, thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Bye bye.